Alright, Ronan MMA, welcome back to the channel. So I spent the morning filming a video on hypothetically if Alex Pereira were to move up to light heavyweight, how would he fare against contenders in the top 5? While that video was uploading, I saw that he actually made a statement saying that his next fight will be at 205 pounds, so I clicked delete because that video was no longer relevant. But now that we know for sure, I want to go over potential matchups, how I think he matches up against people in the top 5, how he matches up against the champion, how he matches up against the former champion, and all of that good stuff. Before we get into it, please like and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it, man. I'll thank you in advance because I'm Canadian, eh? And because I've thanked you, I know you're going to do it because you're a nice guy. So thanks. Now let's get right into it, okay? So my personal favorite matchup for Alex Pereira at light heavyweight, actually, I haven't heard a lot of people talking about is Jan Blachowicz. The reason why is because Jan Blachowicz does not get the credit he deserves for being the high-level striker that he really is. These two men are the only men so far, aside from maybe Robert Whittaker in the second fight, to outstrike Israel Adesanya at moments in fights and, you know, things like that. They are also the only two men that were able to out-leg kick Israel Adesanya, which is his main game plan, his main method of attack, how he sets up all of his other attacks. Both of these men were able to butcher the legs of Israel Adesanya, and Alex Pereira was on his way to butchering them once more in their second fight. They do have different, completely different styles of leg kicks. However, Alex Pereira's are very sneaky. Israel even said himself, you know, he wants to learn how he throws them because they are so good. You can't tell when it's coming, it just comes. And when it does, it hurts. They are deadly accurate. They land in the same spot every single time. He gets you with them like crazy. Jan Blachowicz, pardon me, has a very different style. He doesn't care if you know they're coming. He doesn't care what stance you're in. He's throwing those leg kicks. He will blast you shin to shin. He doesn't care because he's as dense as tungsten, okay? And his shins hurt. And his feet, I'm telling you, are insane. I have never seen anything like it. The shape of them is wild, okay? Also, both of these gentlemen have knockout power. Both of these gentlemen are not well-versed on the ground. You know, Jan Blachowicz might be okay on the ground. Alex Pereira might be okay on the ground. I would imagine that this fight would be primarily stand-up, and it would be amazing to watch. And I also, again, I don't think that Jan Blachowicz gets the credit he deserves. He is a very high-level striker. It would be a very interesting matchup. I could see either gentleman doing well. I think Pereira, I would give Pereira the edge there, I think, though, because I think he's just a little bit more deliberate with his attacks. I think he's a little more technically sound, but he is hittable, as we've seen, and if Jan Blachowicz catches you on the chin, it might be game over. The next one, I've seen a lot of people talking about this one, is the winner of Smith versus Walker, Anthony Smith versus Johnny Walker, which I believe they're set to fight in May next month. So I think that if Walker were to beat Anthony Smith, which I actually don't think is going to happen, and then they were to match him up with Alex Pereira, I think they might need a literal coroner on standby. Because Johnny Walker, dude, in my opinion, I don't think highly of him. And that might be like a horrible thing to say, but he's just not, I don't know what it is, man. He's fun to watch. He throws crazy stuff, like, you know, he's creative and whatever, but we've seen that he doesn't necessarily have the best chin, right? Jamahal Hill, like, cartoonish style knockout. That was insane. Flop back, like, it was very strange. I think if Pereira catches him on the chin, and I think that he would, we might have a death on our hands since we know that his chin is already not the best. So who knows, okay? I would prefer Anthony Smith to win. However, I think that Anthony Smith actually could cause more problems for Alex Pereira than a lot of guys in the top 5. Anthony Smith's jiu-jitsu is very underrated. I know that he got dominated by Glover. Glover, though, you know, is known for his top pressure. Also, he had hurt Anthony on the feet. He broke his orbital bone. The problem for Anthony Smith is that he would have to close the distance. Now, Anthony Smith is a big fella, okay? He's like 6'4", legit. Big dude. He might have, I think it's around a 78-inch reach, if I'm not mistaken. So they're close in reach. His striking is good, but it is definitely not the level of an Alex Pereira, and I don't think that he has the knockout power or the precision of an Israel Adesanya to keep Alex Pereira honest enough. And I think that if Anthony Smith were to close the distance, kind of like how he got dropped against Aleksander Rakic in their fight, I think that Alex Pereira would close the show. Because if you hit him with a check left hook, or if Alex Pereira hits you with a check left hook, pardon me, most of the time, it's game over. Anthony Smith he's very good. If he were to get Alex Pereira on the ground, I could see him submitting Alex Pereira quite easily, if I'm being honest. I know that he's been training with Glover Teixeira, but at his age, right, by the next time he fights, he might be 36 years old. There is no way he will ever reach like the level of even close to Glover Teixeira. He won't be even close to the level of proficiency that most of these guys are on the ground, actually, because he has spent his entire combat sports career training in one specific discipline, which is kickboxing, and it's very hard to learn new things, especially at that age. So I think that if Anthony Smith was able to get him to the ground, I would predict a rear naked choke, is what I would predict. It will be hard to close the distance, though. And Alex Pereira is he's got good range management, man. Very good range management, but he is hittable. But again, none of these guys are really the level of striker, aside from Jan Blachowicz, the level of striker that Israel Adesanya is. So I think that he matches up quite well with both of them. Anthony Smith does have that factor where if it gets to the ground, he's got slick jiu-jitsu. I could see him sinking in a choke and putting him winning the fight that way. But if not, dude, Pereira, left hook, dead. Magomed Ankalaev is another one. Had a good fight with Jan Blachowicz. I thought that the draw was the correct decision. A lot of people thought Magomed Ankalaev got robbed. I did not. I was one of the ones championing the fact that it was a draw. Oftentimes we see draws in MMA and we're like, what the fuck, really? This one I thought was fine. Actually, I thought it was correct. And only one judge actually scored it that way. I gave rounds 1, 2, and 3 to Jan Blachowicz. Round 1 is the one that's debatable. But I thought that Jan Blachowicz did more damage. Now, Magomed Ankalaev has this thing where, he kind of likes to test himself on the feet against guys that he maybe shouldn't, right? Jan Blachowicz was able to damage him significantly in every single round that it was on the feet. He definitely swelled up the right eye, I believe, of Magomed Ankalaev very badly with one good check left hook. If I'm not mistaken, that fight was a while ago, and it's been a bit since I've watched it, but I believe that was how it happened. His legs obviously got butchered inside and out. Jan Blachowicz was going shin to shin with him. Once again, does not give a single fuck what you are made of. He's going to kick you with those shins. Magomed, though, he is a good striker, but we saw that Jan Blachowicz was able to outstrike him. That's what happened. He was doing okay with the front kicks in the beginning and things like that, but it took him 3 rounds and getting to a point where he's literally hopping on one leg to realize, I need to get this fight to the ground in round number 4. Once he did, perhaps it was just the fatigue. There was not a whole lot that he was able to do with it, which was actually quite surprising to me, because Magomed Ankalaev, obviously from Dagestan, Russia, we would expect him to have phenomenal grappling. Jan Blachowicz is not well versed on the ground compared to most, and he wasn't really able to do a whole lot, especially in round number 4. Round 4 was kind of a stinker round. He did not do much. It was essentially he won on control time. Round 5, he was able to do a little bit more damage, and he had the duration of the control and whatever. The 3 Ds, what do they say? Damage, duration, and domination or something like that. Scored a 10-8, fine. He didn't do crazy damage, though. There was never a point where I thought Jan Blachowicz was about to get finished. Again, maybe that was just the fatigue setting in, but it made me concerned for how he matches up against other, high-level guys. And Anthony Smith was having success on the feet against Magomed Ankalaev in their fight as well until he got injured. So I think that if Magomed were is to fight the way that he did against Jan Blachowicz and think that he's going to stand there and strike and figure you out and beat you, night, dude. He's tough as fucking nails for sure after that leg. And that's another thing too. Jan Blachowicz, again, has very hard leg kicks, very damaging leg kicks. Pereira's, though, are much more accurate, much more deliberate. If he kicks you that many times, your leg will be dead. And Ankalaev's leg was dead. If your leg gets to that point, the reason why Alex Pereira is doing that, he wants to He wants to hurt your legs so you can't move as much, so it's easier for him to land his hands, right? His left hook, that's ultimately what he wants to land on you. If Alex Pereira has you to the point where you are hopping around on one foot, I would imagine he's going to close the show. So I think he matches up quite well with Magomed Ankalaev too. And again, like, I know some of these guys may be very good grapplers, and we think, oh, well, all they have to do is take Pereira down, but that's not all they have to do. They have to close the distance, which is fucking terrifying against a guy like Alex Pereira, and extremely dangerous. You know what I mean? That could literally be the end of the night for you if you try to close distance. You never know. We saw it with, he knew that Greek dude. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. Either way, he had a feeling he was going to level change. He threw the flying knee and he slept him. You know what I mean? The guy's good at timing shit. He's got good eyes. He knows what's going on. He's much more intelligent than people give him credit for. I think people, he's a very brutish looking figure, and he doesn't speak English, so we don't really get to hear him articulate things. But I think that he's got a really high fight IQ, and I think that he's a lot smarter than people give him credit for. So I think he matches up quite well with Magomed Ankalaev as well. Now, there's another guy who I honestly forgot about until I looked at the light heavyweight rankings, which is kind of bad, dude. I shouldn't be forgetting about this guy, but Aleksander Rakic. And I mentioned him earlier in the Anthony Smith fight, right? Because he dropped him in that first round there. But if I'm being brutally honest, man, Aleksander Rakic has not impressed me since he knocked out Jimmy Manoa. And with the man with the most ironic nickname of all time, the guy, the poster boy, ended up being, on the wrong end of that the vast majority of the time, especially towards the end of his career. But either way, split decision loss against Volkan Ozdemir. I don't really remember that fight. I would have to go back and watch it. There's probably people that think he should have won it, but you know what I mean. Ultra close with Ozdemir. His win over Anthony Smith was fine. But like I said, like, after dropping Smith like that, instead of trying to get to a better position where he could actually land shots to Anthony Smith's head, he was just kind of pounding the body, allowed Anthony Smith to recover. And for the remainder of that fight, it was honestly kind of boring. He controlled Anthony Smith on the ground. And that was about it. You know what I mean? And then his win over Thiago Santos, which was a unanimous decision, is strange because if you look at the statistics, Thiago Santos outlanded him on total strikes by 11. He outlanded him on significant strikes by 13. So, again, I would have to go back and watch that fight because, again, it is a round-by-round thing. So, the total numbers can be deceiving at times, but it was another close fight. And if I'm not mistaken, that had a very low strike count, was meant to be a banger of a fight and ended up being a fucking stinker. So, you know what I mean? That's why I haven't really been considering Aleksander Rakic. But I think Pereira would match up fine against him too. You know what I mean? Even him controlling Anthony Smith, he wasn't really able to... I don't know, man. I forgot about Rakic, and I think that it's kind of understandable, but it's also bad because I talk about MMA on YouTube, so I should probably not do that. Now I want to talk about the current champions, or the current champion and the former champion who never lost his belt but gave it up because he knew he was going to be out for a significant amount of time. I honestly think he matches up better with these two gentlemen than some of the other guys in the top 5, because while Jamahal Hill was able to defend against Glover Teixeira on the ground, Glover was very hurt. You know what I mean? And Jamal's got good takedown defense, but it's all anti-grappling. Now, to be fair, we haven't really seen him in a scenario where he gets to use his offensive grappling, but he's primarily a striker. He wants to knock you out. He's got KO power for sure. And, he showed us that his striking is actually more high level than a lot of people gave him credit for. He's got beautiful kicks. He sets things up. He's not just trying to hit you and, knowing that he has knockout power. But I think that anybody who is a striker that is going to stand and strike with Alex Pereira, aside from Israel Adesanya, is in trouble. Okay, those guys both have incredible kickboxing experience. And I know that kickboxing is not MMA, but I just don't think that Jamahal Hill is as sophisticated of a striker as Israel Adesanya, and I don't think that he's quite as precise either. I don't think that those head kicks would be landing the same way. I don't think that a lot of things he landed on Glover Teixeira would be landing the same way against Alex Pereira. I could easily see Alex Pereira sleeping him. Now, again, we've seen that Alex Pereira can be hittable, for sure. If Jamahal hits you clean, that could be bad. Now, perhaps Pereira will have a better chin at 205. That was why I thought when I first read the quote by him, I only read a partial quote that said he was moving to 205. I had imagined that it was because he thought to himself, perhaps the weight cut was what, led to him getting slept the way that he did. But he said, I could stay at middleweight and fight Adesanya for the trilogy right away, but we will see how he behaves, which, you know what I mean? Perhaps it's just a weird translation, like Portuguese to English. Maybe I don't know, who knows? But maybe he just means we're going to see what he's going to do. You know what I mean? And then he says, I can make the weight fine. I could make the weight at any moment. So it's not due to the weight cut. His plans must have been, he wanted to do what he did in Glory. But it just so happened that he lost the middleweight belt before he had a chance. So he's not going to be like a 2-time simultaneous champion. He's going to go after the light heavyweight belt, though. Which, dude, if he wins the light heavyweight belt, I know Henry Cejudo's got a gold medal. He might be the best the greatest combat sports athlete of all time. Double champion. Two-weight champion in Glory Kickboxing, the most prestigious kickboxing organization, in modern time, in recent history, against absolute killers as well. Goes over to the UFC, takes Israel Adesanya's belt off of him. Yeah, he got knocked out, but imagine if he goes up and gets the 205 belt. Do it, two-weight champion in MMA and in kickboxing would be fucking phenomenal. I think he matches up quite well with Jamahal Hill, if I'm being honest. Jamahal Hill's strikes are a little strange. It reminds me of a changeup in baseball a little bit. They're not as fast as you think they would be. You know what I mean? When he throws it, it's kind of like weird timing. But they're very, very hard. So you don't need to be overly explosive to hit hard as fuck, clearly. Jamahal Hill, he does not look like he's in the best shape. But the dude's got power. He's a very good striker. I just don't think that he's anywhere close to the level of striker that Alex Pereira is. Jiri Prochazka, I think, matches up worse fucking than everybody, dude. If I'm being brutally honest, I love Jiri Prochazka. He's a fucking warrior. I think Jamahal Hill sleeps him. I do, man. He is very unorthodox, very creative, and he's very fun to watch. And he's also powerful. He leaves himself open so much, though, for somebody who is a more traditional striker, such as a Jamahal Hill, such as an Alex Pereira, where I could see them both fucking sleeping the guy. Jamahal Hill is not Dominic Reyes. Alex Pereira is not Dominic Reyes. Nowhere fucking near, dude. He leaves himself open. His hands are down. He does weird shit. Glover was able to fucking crack him a few times on the feet. If Alex Pereira hits you instead of Glover Teixeira, you're fucking dead. Or, asleep at the least. So I think Jiri Prochazka almost matches up worse than any of them. Because he doesn't seem to have much of a ground game either. He was able to choke Glover. I understand that. But, people that watch the fight will know. That was not like he dominated the jiu-jitsu during that fight. Took the back and it was like a fatigued Glover. They were in a weird scramble. Bloody, slippery, sweaty, all that shit. And he sinks in a choke without even putting his hooks in or anything. Glover taps because he's dead tired and he can't even muster up the energy to fight out of it. So I know that he was able to get out of positions from Glover Teixeira, but I just don't see him shooting like a double leg or a single leg, taking Pereira down, passing his guard, taking his, you know what I mean? I don't see that like I would from an Anthony Smith or somebody. So I think Jiri Prochazka has some tough fucking fights when he gets back. He's very exciting to watch. I love him, but I think that if Glover Teixeira was not the champion when Jiri Prochazka got the shot, I don't think he would have ended up winning the belt. I think many guys, almost everybody I listed, if I'm being brutally honest, man, I really like Jiri Prochazka. He's fun. He's a weirdo a little bit, but that's okay, dude. I like the samurai shit. Clearly, obviously, Ronin MMA, okay, but I'm a rogue samurai. He's not. But you know, Jan Blachowicz, I think, matches up well against Jiri. I think Anthony Smith, I think Jamahal Hill laughed when he was asked about Jiri because he's like, I've been wanting to fight that guy for a long time because I think he sees the same openings. Dude, the same openings that I do, and this is exciting. Now I'm a little torn because I would have loved to see the trilogy. I've got some pictures coming of their finishes that I'm gonna frame and put up. I hate Israel Adesanya, but the arrow thing looks cool. It's a cool picture. I'm getting that one. I'm getting Alex, like, you know what I mean? They're all their finishes. I'm getting certain pictures I've printed out because that is my favorite rivalry in combat sports. Not because I hate Israel and I like seeing him fucking lose 3 times out of 4, but because two very high-level strikers, and that's what I love to watch. I would have loved to see them go at it again, if I'm being honest. But I don't think Izzy wants it. He's made it pretty clear. I don't think the UFC would force Israel to fight somebody he doesn't want to fight. And, yeah, it's a little unfortunate because I don't really see any clear contender at middleweight. Dricus du Plessis ranked number 6, and I think he gets fucking bodied by Israel Adesanya, if I'm being brutally honest. It would have been cool to see a number 5. You know what I mean? But it is what it is. Maybe what will actually end up happening, I know this is a stretch and it's just fun what ifs, but if Alex Pereira gets a W over one of the guys I listed at the beginning of this video in the top 5, so that he's immediately like 4-3, whatever, and they can justify giving him a light heavyweight title shot. If he wins the belt, which I know these are big ifs, but if he wins that belt and Israel Adesanya is still champion at middleweight, that would be a very cool way to cap off the rivalry, to finish the trilogy in MMA. Would be Israel Adesanya going up or Alex Pereira going down to fight for double champ status. That's the unfortunate thing, though. One of them has to risk losing their belt, whereas the other one is just trying to gain another. And I would imagine they would give Izzy the opportunity to go up before they would give Alex the opportunity to go down. But that's just me. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Who you think Pereira matches up with the best. Who you think could fuck him up. Let me know that as well. And don't forget to like and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it, you guys. I'll thank you in advance because I'm Canadian and we're polite. So thank you very much for your sub. I know you're going to do it because I already thanked you. And I will see you at the next video. Bye-bye.